So the theme is epigenetics and trauma, really, but more, the title is Sentient Sourcing. And the reason that's the title is because all the tools, all the knowledge, all of the trauma techniques and everything, they all depend on this one basic principle, which is that the feeling of whatever we're feeling, the felt sensation or even the body sensation, is the leader and the mind is the follower of that. And of course feelings are not things, they're not static things, they don't stay the same, they're more flows. And so the sourcing aspect is about being able to allow the feeling, give it enough space for it to tell its story in its own way, like its source, where it was born, what's its history, what's its colours, what's its melody. Of course, for that, when we start to source feelings by feeling them, the story in the head is not really that relevant. It becomes more of a reporting job, like a sports commentator. Goal! It's not the one leading the way anymore. It's not creating feelings. It can say slow down. It can say relax. It can say no for a while, but the feeling happens anyway. So the sourcing of feelings is important with all healing work and all non-duality work as well, because from a non-dual perspective, any feeling in a way is not it, is it? Because it's double. There is that which is able to feel, and there is the feeling which is changing or feelable. If we're able to feel a feeling, we're not the feeling. We're the one that's able to feel it. So that is really the non-dual key to any healing work. Whatever you can see, in a way you're released from it. Because if you are able to see your story, or see a memory, or feel any kind of feeling, good or bad, it's not who you are. You're the one that's able to feel it. You're the one that space in which that feeling can happen, with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a shape, and a transformative shape that changes shape. But still, we have this, in terms of healing in general, and also in terms of non-duality, there's been a scientific development in the past 10 years, which is really a game breaker for both non-duality and healing, which is the opening of the whole field of epigenetics, which ancient wisdom has said, for, I think, since they've been saying stuff, these ancient wisdomites, that we embody our ancestors, that we didn't come from nowhere, that we're part of this human story, that the timeless is expressing through this evolutionary story of humanity. So it's been known in a way. It's there in Buddhism, it's there in Hinduism, it's there in Christianity, it's there in Judaism. Honour your father and your mother, that you may live life. You can translate that also as honour thy father and thy mother, that you can live big, wide.
I didn't even speak yet.
Husband is not there. So, what's happened? So I started with a little bit of knowledge, just because it's really cool when science proves finally what we all know anyway, because it does something to the belief system. Suddenly, it's absolutely not off the map what we're doing. It's not off the map to say, this is my grandmother that drowned, which is making me fearful now of water. It's now totally stamped and certified and allowed. So science is important, because what we don't believe can be, we don't experience. We literally block the experience when the belief says this cannot be, because we're so afraid of being insane and being rejected and being outside of
Common sense.
Common sense. The known. So now it's known. In 2012, they There was the first big experiment in the whole area of stress and trauma and genetic heritage on mice. And it was actually, there had been some before, but this one was through the fathers. So that it was passed through the mother, that trauma could be passed through the mother was already kind of accepted. There was a debate going on in psychology about the effect of the mother's mood in the womb and the biochemistry of the mother, that it is affecting or imprinting already the biology of the baby. So from the mother it's been more acceptable, but when it's through the father it's really a genetic imprint. It becomes much more clear. And they found that when these mice, they were shocking a bunch of mice, or rats, or one of the two, every time that they smelled cherry blossom. And until they were trained to go into stress just with the smell of cherry blossom. And then they found not only in the children of the father mouse, but also in his grandchildren, that the same stress patterns were coming up just with the smell of cherry blossom. So rose blossom made no difference, orange blossom they're cool, but cherry blossom the grandchildren mice were going into a panic. And of course with mice they can, and even a little bit in the generation after that, and with mice they have very fast generations so we can see it. With humans we would need to live a lot longer to really be able to follow this, but what it's indicating is that the epigenetic contraction on the genes, it's like epigenetic is a layer above the genes which represses a certain aspect of natural manifestation, and it says panic, survive, go into fear. It's instinctive, and of course when it's linked with smell it's even more instinctive, because smell is one of our senses that bypasses the whole censorship of the prefrontal cortex. It goes straight to the amygdala, smell. So the fear responses, the fundamental fear responses which are coming from the body before the mind or even the feelings have got a sense of it. For example, somebody whose grandparents have been in the Holocaust and could have grandchildren with a fear of German Shepherd dogs, because that became to symbolize a lot of the Auschwitz scene, the dogs. And what that would mean is that the grandchild is one moment there and next moment he sees an Alsatian dog, and the fear response is happening long before, with a kind of sense of panic before even the feelings unravel, or even without the feelings ever unraveling necessarily of Holocaust and abandonment and horror and all of that. So what we're fundamentally talking about is this play on the system between stress and depression. Those are the two responses. Because if you're all the time stressed in something which in your environment is kind of normal, at a certain stage it moves to depression. You just freeze it because you don't have what to do with this stress. You don't have how to release it. All of us have patches. If you wander around the whole feeling landscape, there will be patches which are just numb in a way, depressed. I have patches which are just depressed. I don't know what's in there because they're depressed. It's like a blind spot. And you can almost feel it, like it's got a greater density. Like here there can be space, and here there's density. Over that density of energy, when you come near it and you start to say what's going on here, stress will start to move up. This is the stress thing, because it's frozen for a purpose, which was once, maybe with our great-grandparents, to do with survival. And it became frozen because it's no longer a war here, or whatever. So the stress starts to vibrate, which is creating stress, and the stress response is the classical fear responses, which are to run like hell, get the hell out of here. I don't want to be here. That's that line. To freeze completely, which is the stress movement, the depression movement. Just freeze it, just stop it, freeze. Or to fight, which is the anger thing, sudden rage, kill the neighbour. Those are the three kind of fear responses which are going to start coming through when the stress starts to show up. What's really amazing about the inherited aspect of this is that it gives us a context to explore and to heal these areas of ourselves which are randomly stressed and randomly depressed, which doesn't require a rational explanation in this lifetime. And so many times we go into therapy and we deal with our trauma and all of this, and the known trauma, if there is one. Sometimes there's not even one that we know about. But we're still not happy. We still don't feel a release. It's kind of okay, it's like first aid, but it's still not really relaxed. And we're looking for that relaxation. Relaxation which allows you to be nobody, to be whatever you are in the moment, and nobody in particular. To just let life live you, this kind of relaxation we're looking for. So the inherited trauma factor really gives us a way to, in the first instance, to not identify with the trauma. Because the first thing we do when we really suffer something is it's like, this is my suffering, my trauma, and it's as if it was born with us, and it's because there's something wrong with us, and you can see the stresses we feel guilty about it, we feel ashamed of it. We try and put it on the other, so you can see the mess that comes from this identification with our own suffering. So when we know, and there's an awareness and there's a space that this actually is possible that it began with our mother's mother, or even before, and that nobody's really to blame, it's just coming through the cells, there's an incredible release of that identification. It just becomes something that needs to be felt, something that needs to be heard, that's expressing through us, it's not who we are. And that's very relaxing. All the shame falls off, all the guilt falls off. It's a problem, but it's not your private, separate problem anymore. It's part of a shared mess of people. So that's really a game breaker.